You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
Welcome to another episode of Queen3 King. I am your host, King Dunk, back from worldly travels. I'm sure y'all, like my sisters, missed me. So I'm back. You can rest easy now. You can see I got a beautiful panel, man. Normally I'm head and shoulders the most handsome, the most beautifulest guy or girl on the show, but I got some competition today in my guest host. So let me go ahead and I'm going to introduce the dry regulars, and then I get to the exciting fill-ins for today. So first, out of Forney, Texas, by way of East Garland, Texas, still reveling in her victory over the city of Tulsa and state of Oklahoma in her crown of Miss Tulsa, because I guess they had some sort of agreement with Miss Okmulgee that they didn't really work out, but now we got it worked out. So we got the educated queen, Meba TT, talk to the people queen.
Good evening. And you're going to cut them insults after the day I had. You better step light, bro.
And one of the things that happened backstage, André didn't want me to say nothing about it, but she tripped trying to go get a glass of wine. Yeah, we heard all that. We heard that crashing.
What a liar.
And tell me you ain't got no glass right in front of you.
I don't have no glass in front of me.
Okay, it's plastic then. Anyway.
But thank you, Lord.
And next,
I'm trying to keep my job, Jesus.
Also out of East Garland, Texas.
What?
Formerly known as Blake's mama. Now we don't see nothing. Finally today, we got a soccer video from Blake.
Because you just don't keep lying.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, boy, that timeline full of Bronx. We got the baby queen, Mama Lee. Talk to the people, queen.
Hello, everyone.
See, that's the kind of energy. That same energy you use when you go out day drinking with your friends. That's the kind of energy I want.
Bless you.
All right, and on to our guests. First, we have Chasity Williams, who for some reason I was calling Chasity Franklin in my promo.
I was like, who is that?
And you know your mama wasn't gonna let that go. Her last name, I'm like, it was just a mistake. God dog. Her husband name Franklin. So
you know Chastity's last name.
So the season queen is out cruising, and this is her oldest daughter, Chasity, and he's filling in with this topic, which I did not name. I guess I should have done that. Life after miscarriage, and again, our special guest host, Chasity Williams, André Jones, and Lekia Patterson. Chasity, talk to the people.
Hi, everybody. How y'all doing?
They said they're doing all right. You can't hear them yet. And next, we have 40-year radio vet.
All right.
Should be Radio Hall of Famer. Started back in the days of WKRP in Cincinnati.
Come on.
What was it? What was the black guy name on there? Jimmy the Fly. What was his name?
I ain't even gonna help you. I'm not gonna help
you. Tim Reed. I know the actor name is Tim Reed, but I can't remember what Superfly or something. We got André Jones of the Lunch Break Sports Show and of BS3 Network and of what is it? J&E Entertainment, Jones Media and Entertainment, JM&E Entertainment Group. Yep. We got André Jones. Talk to the folks, AJ.
Hey, man. Just glad to be back with the family. Queens, good to see y'all. Minus Chastity's mother. Be sure and give her my love.
Mm-hmm. She probably won't. And last but not least, we
Thanks,
have
Lord.
Lekia Patterson, which I didn't know which name to put on here because she's Shante K on social media and she be changing her names. Usually when people do that, because they
Take
on
your time with it too,
probation.
Kia.
They on probation, and then people that got ankle monitors or something. I don't know why you change your name on all this stuff. But anyway, whatever you go by, say hi to these folks.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. Good to see y'all.
Oh, y'all hear that Barbie voice she got on? Yeah.
You started too early.
Yeah, she from the north side. You hear me?
Look here, you better talk, lady.
I prayed before we started. We good.
Yeah.
I did too, but it didn't go no higher than my ceiling.
All right.
And me making my nerves bad.
So I told them before y'all got on, Mika and Lily, that we were going to kind of be directing some questions toward them and letting them kind of hold the day in terms of the conversation. But as always, if y'all want to jump in, if a question pops into y'all's head that y'all think is worthy, make sure y'all jump in and just ask it, So we're going to get started. So we were supposed to have this program on August the 23rd, which was actually the day after the 2022's National Rainbow Baby Day. Okay, so for those of you who do not know, a rainbow baby is a term for a child born to a family that has previously lost a child due to a miscarriage, ectopic pregnancy, molar pregnancy, termination for medical reasons, stillbirth, or neonatal death. Rainbow babies act as a symbol of renewal and hope. The rainbow stands as a symbol of excitement. I had no idea what a rainbow baby was until I started researching for this topic a couple of months ago. Anybody got anything on that, or if that means anything to y'all or anything like that?
They're the rainbow after the storm. So I think that that's why they're referred to as the rainbow baby. It's not easy going through a miscarriage. And I know many women have been through it and quietly go through it. But I think it's just that rainbow, after the storm.
All right. I'm just checking my privacy on Facebook. There we go. We got some comments coming in now. So we got Keisha Walker saying, good evening, everyone. And I don't know who this is. They said Bray. Then they said, oops. Then they say, hey, y'all. Yeah. I can't even blame that on keyboard or spell check because none of them close. So make sure if you're on Facebook, you give Facebook permission to use your name, give StreamYard permission to publish your name and whatnot. There should be a link there. And
that's Grace.
Huh?
That's Grace.
Okay. All right.
Bray. Okay, Bray.
Rabia.
Oh, she Rabia today. So
Rabia.
Okay, so I'm going to pose this to the mothers, and I'm just going to let y'all talk in general. So a miscarriage, and we'll start with you, Chasity, on this. How does a miscarriage impact you? And I know that this is you could probably talk for an hour just on that question alone. So just be as succinct as possible here in describing that. How does a miscarriage impact you? And then Lekia, after her, I'll go to you.
I think it just depends on the person. Like some people don't feel anything. They just think that, well, this is supposed to happen. It is what it is. For other people like myself, since we were trying for a while and it happened to me, I felt like I wasn't good enough. Like, dang, the one thing my body was supposed to do, like,
wow,
make it pass. So like, as a woman, that does something to you. So I think it just depends on who you are and your connection to it or lack thereof.
Wow, that's a couple of things I didn't think I was going to hear today. The number one is that some people have no feeling about it at all. And now that you say that, I have been exposed to people who it didn't have that kind of impact on, so I suppose that's a very valid point. Lekia, how did this impact you?
Just to piggyback off of Chasity, the biggest thing for me was guilt. Just wondering, like Chasity said, just not sure if you did something wrong, you obsess over what you did that week or, the activities that you're involved in, just second guessing yourself as a person and as a potential mom. And then just wondering what's going to happen next. What is your life? How do you go to the next step? The ability to move on and to lean on your support system. All of that has an impact for sure.
Wow. Okay. And one of the things that I thought about whenever I was researching for this is that I very rarely, if ever, have heard the impact of fathers. So when AJ reached out to me about this and told me his story about this, man, I was like shook. So AJ, I want you to tell a little bit about your story if you can. Tell me your impact, and then I also want you to tell me what you said on your radio show about how when you were telling your ex-wife that you were going to do this show.
Yeah, so my ex-wife had multiple miscarriages. And Chasity, to your point, there were times when she just went on like everything was okay. But when we talked about it recently, about me coming on the show and me just kind of bringing it back up with her, I then understood how hurt she really was each time. And she said to me each time she didn't want to reuse that name because that name that we designated for that child belonged to that child in her heart. And I didn't realize that she was that, that affected by it. So the thing that came out for me, and I'm not trying to, make it about me, how non-observant I was. Like I didn't read between the surface that she needed and was hurting more than she actually was showing. And I apologized to her just the other day. Like, man, I'm sorry I missed that. I'm sorry that I thought it was just, come on, let's try again. And she said something very, very profound to me. She said, you remember when your dog died? You still don't have another dog, do you?
And that's just a dog.
That's just a dog.
You know what I'm saying? Wow. And so that you had said some things came up in you that you didn't know was still there, right?
I didn't realize how much it impacted me because one of our miscarriages, we were further along in the process. Because she had many, we decided that we weren't going to tell people we were pregnant until we were past a certain point. Well, we had passed that certain point and we still lost that child. I remember it like it was yesterday. And man, I shut it out. I blacked it out. But when we start talking about it again, I can feel the emotions like they're doing right now, rising up again. Like, man, I thought we were past that. I thought we were good. I thought, and then she had to go through what's called, well, y'all know what's called a DNC. And that was not good, man. That was not good at all. That was. Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, somebody explain that to me because I think I've heard that term before, but not 100% familiar with it. What is a DNC?
I had to have a DNC.
I did too.
You did too? Yeah, so after I went in for my appointment, they didn't find a heartbeat. So my doctor gave me an option. She said you can either let the baby pass like on its own. She said I can give you some medicine and you can pass the baby at home, or we can do a DNC. And that's when you go in and they put you under, you go to sleep, and they remove the baby and everything else that comes along with it, placenta and anything else. And for me, they sent off everything and tested it to see what was wrong, but that's just one way to.
Okay.
And sometimes that's the easier route because you leave the doctor and you don't want to go home and prolong it anymore. And sometimes it can take so long for you to pass it completely that it's just emotional trauma all over. And like you're waking up to that daily and you'd rather just go in and get that procedure and be done with it.
Yeah, because that was my thought process too. I don't want to be walking around with my baby who I'll never be able to meet and hold.
Exactly.
I'd rather just be able to go into the hospital and like speed up the process. But
Wow, that would be difficult. Lekia, you got anything to add on that?
Yeah, same thing with me where it was just a scheduled doctor's appointment, and then they couldn't find a heartbeat. The biggest problem was I had to wait about 5 days to have the surgery. So it was just those 5 days of knowing what had happened and then just living with that. And then they didn't give me the option because they said that the way they determined it had been so long that I had to have surgery or it was going to affect my health in the long run. So that's what happened to me.
Okay. All right. A question Well, first of all, let me get this comment first, and then I'm going to ask this question. I think this is still Grace, I guess. I had a miscarriage after my youngest. I still feel guilty at times because I did not want to be pregnant. And sometimes I feel it was my words that caused the loss. I always think about that baby, how old he or she would be and how they would fit with the other three. The baby would have been 7. Yeah. Wow. You can even tell with those comments, right?
Mhm.
That there is a
Yeah.
connection still, you know.
Always.
I was dating somebody, and trust me, my experience, I'm not trying to make it mean anything, but I think this kind of demonstrates the impact that people who have not experienced miscarriage personally don't really get, you know, and so maybe raising awareness and be more sensitive about it. But, you know, this was somebody I was dating and whatnot. And this was in my earlier years or whatever. And I said, well, if we have a baby, we can make the middle name what she had told me her baby's name was going to be. And she goes, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. You know, I thought that would be honoring that kid. But she's like, no, there'll never be another
Another one.
you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you know, fortunately, she was very forgiving and understanding because I felt this high, you know, because I was trying to do it from a good place, but didn't understand it had that sort of impact for her. You know?
Yeah. I don't know if we did it or if the doctor, because we've had the same doctor, put the name on the ultrasound. So we still had the ultrasounds. We physically saw that child.
Wow.
And we had an expected due date. And I can tell you right now, on my phone right now, I still have those babies' birthdays.
Wow.
They still come up on my, on my Google Calendar.
Wow.
And I stop and I acknowledge them. And I just, I believe they're in heaven. I mean, they did nothing not to be there. So I acknowledge that existence. But to have seen that child, to have named that child, and like I said, the last one that we had, man, we were on the other side of it. And I took it because we were up in Cincinnati at a museum, and I kept asking her, are you okay? You good? You want to sit this one out? And she's like, no, I want to see it. And I felt like I had pushed her to do too much. I felt like I had made her try to run with me because I was home. And, again, I didn't realize the guilt that I was carrying, but man, there was no recycling those names. There was no giving that name now to a new baby to honor, this child who did not make it on this side.
Okay. Wow. All right. We got, I would assume that's Ben in the building. He says, good evening, family. If you're just joining us, we're talking life after miscarriage with our special guest hosts, Chasity Franklin, Lekia Patterson, and André Jones.
Chasity Franklin again.
Look, I did put it on there too. Look at that. Chasity Williams. Man, I just can't get that.
Well, they are one. So you're okay.
The other day, where did I see Frank at? When we were at Marita's, I saw Frank. I said, what's up, Jesus? And he just okay.
I have a question, if you don't mind me. I love hearing AJ's perspective because when we think about miscarriages, we never think about the men. I know I'm guilty of it, and it's really like, oh my gosh, it really impacts the men too. So to y'all, how did the men react? How did they comfort you? Do you feel like do you feel like they actually felt what you were going through, or would you have done something different for them to see and feel exactly where you were at?
Now that I've gone through it, if there was so much attention on me, it was, I felt like, this was my body. I went through it. My partner's not going to really understand. They're just going to basically be there for me. And at that time, it didn't really register like, well, I wonder what he's going through. I wonder, how he's processing all this. I'm so involved in, and a selfishness, honestly, that, this was my body. He doesn't know. He has no idea, what I went through. But over time, it was like, he had feelings too. He just processed it. Women were very emotional. We wear our heart on our sleeve. Whereas just because men don't necessarily show it the exact same way we do, they're going through their own process. So I would do differently. Just, even checking in and in my own grief, how are you doing? How are you processing this? What can I do for you? Because he was doing that for me, so just understanding that both parties were, having issues with dealing with it in their own way.
Yeah, which that's really, I think that's pretty eye-opening, because even going through your situation and kind of being on the sidelines, Lekia, I think that was probably one of the times I saw my cousin just broken. You know what I mean? And I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And I can see him just broken.
Yeah.
And that was really tough to see that, but you don't think that it affects them as much as it does the woman. And that's not fair. It's not fair when you think about it.
Right.
But yeah, that was a super eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm sorry, Chasity. It's not fair, but it's understandable. I can't speak for any of the other brothers, but I went into protect my wife mode. Yes, I lost my daughter or my son, but my wife is right here and she needed me then.
Yeah.
And my whole focus and attention I thought was on her. But I see just after talking to her, there were some areas where I felt like, she didn't say that, I felt like I could have, been more understanding, because hearing y'all say today, she said this just the other day, I felt like there was something wrong with me. My body could not carry these children. And I didn't understand it from that perspective. I called myself trying not to let her feel that guilt. But from an attention and a caring standpoint, I tried not to let her touch anything. Get up out of bed, baby. I got that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. But I don't think I processed my pain, because it literally started coming back up when we talked. I buried it, but I didn't process it.
Wow. Chastity, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, like I started to notice Franklin's feelings towards it immediately after we found out there wasn't a heartbeat anymore, because he was super excited about going to this second ultrasound, because the first time the baby was too small to see anything. Like this time, like she was big enough, but like, there was no heartbeat. And y'all know Franklin, he records everything. Camera, he was all excited, recording. And then whenever the nurse or whatever couldn't find the heartbeat, I like slowly saw him put his camera down and like hold his head down. And I immediately felt like so guilty.
Wow.
Because of how he felt, because I knew he was excited about it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. He made me really, like, this whole process taught me that a lot of people, like, you have to understand that nobody is going to process their grief like you process your grief.
Exactly.
Because I would always be upset that he wasn't sad when I'm here crying every day.
Right.
He was processing it in his own way, in his own time.
Yeah.
And Franklin, he probably uses, he loves to work out. So maybe that was his outlet. A lot of people don't have those outlets and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, he probably just put on some more small shirts, some medium shirts.
I didn't say that now.
See, that's jealousy coming through, because I ain't been in no medium since the 8th grade. I can't even tuck my shirts in no more.
Not the 8th.
And I even think with me going through the situation, I discredited my loss for a long time. And that was part of the reason why I really didn't say anything, because it happened so early that I was like, well, there's other people that have been more attached to theirs. So I discredited my loss and just kind of like, well, it was still really early, so maybe it shouldn't affect me. Like, you try to talk yourself through it, like, but they were 2-3 months along, but I didn't want to talk about it. It was really hard to deal with, because I even had people after I expressed it, like, why didn't you say anything? And I'm like, it wasn't time for me to say anything yet. I had to process that. I had to deal with that. Me and my husband had to deal with that. But then I also put my feelings on the back burner, because I'm like, well, I was only like 6 weeks, so it was still super early, and you don't think that you become attached to that. But when you have that positive pregnancy test, you, as a mom, you become attached right in that moment. You go into mom mode right then, even though I had multiple kids.
Wow.
So I even thought about it from that standpoint too. Yes, I have multiple kids, so maybe this is all I'm meant to have. You go into all of those processes and trying to compartmentalize each situation to match and to comfort yourself, I guess.
Let's see, we got a comment. Jay's car review says, good evening. What's up, Jay's? I hadn't heard from you, man. How'd you hear about the show, my man? And where can we
hey Jay,
and let us know where we can find your car review so we can show you some support. I think this is great. Grace again, she goes, with me, my ex was upset with me because I did not have a reaction. I was numb. I passed the baby at home, and my oldest helped me because the pain was so intense. I was shocked as I had 3 other healthy pregnancies. I cried 3 weeks later. I was in the shower and could not stop crying. Wow. All right. We're just a little bit, we're past the quarter mark, so we're going to pause for station identification.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
All right. So let me ask you this question. So again, because I reached out to a couple of people trying to put a panel together for this. And again, we thank you here at Queen3 and King for y'all agreeing to do this, because I know this still can't be easy. In fact, that leads me to my next question, because I had a few people that I reached out to and they were like, no, I'm not ready yet. And for some of them, it had been several years already.
Yeah.
So for y'all, and I'm going to start with you, AJ, on this one, then we'll go to Lekia, and then we go to Chasity. What did it take you a minute to get to this point to be able to have a discussion like this? Was there a certain amount of time that you needed, et cetera, et cetera?
That's funny you say that, because, other than me and maybe my immediate family and my ex-wife, I didn't have a discussion about it. So when it was literally not until, we talked about coming on the show and doing it, that I reached out to my ex-wife, and she was like, man, I'm surprised to hear you talk about it, because, you just seemed like you were trying to get me to come on and move on. And, we had 2 children after the last one. So it just felt like there was nothing to discuss. But, like I said, man, just the discussion with her opened up stuff that I had not processed and dealt with. And I'm kind of glad we didn't have the show when it was scheduled to happen. Because I don't know if I would be the same as I am right now with it. I feel like I've been able to think about it. And it's almost like I remember each one like it was, and I went through my phone and said, wow, okay, yeah, I get, man. So yeah, I think that for me, the length of time doesn't matter for a person. It's how they are in their heart and their emotions, and even in their relationships, that gets them ready to have these kind of discussions.
Lekia, go ahead.
My grief has so many different faces because so I've had a stillborn birth, which was Jacob. And I carried him up until about 5 months, and I went into labor too early. But there was 2 other miscarriages long after that. So for the miscarriages that happened more recently, I think I still process those. I had made an attempt to do therapy. I'd made an attempt to, see grief counselors, to even talk to women that have been through it. I think that, friends and family can be like, oh, girl, call me, or, I'll pray for you. But sometimes you really just want to talk to somebody that's actually been through it. But with Jacob, it's been almost 14, 15 years. And there's still some times where I'll break down today. But I try to celebrate him. Jeremiah knows about him. We talk about him. We talk about if he was here, what he'd be doing, how close they would be. And I try to celebrate, him as though he was here. And that helps me with my grief. And then with my other miscarriages, it's kind of like what Chasity said. It was like, maybe it wasn't meant to be. Maybe I wasn't ready, or maybe I wasn't good enough. It's just a mixed emotions. So I think the biggest thing for me is, if you want to talk about it, talk about it. If you need to, whether it's praying about it, whether it's talking to somebody about it, you cannot suppress it, because especially when you have kids, it's like you have to suppress it, because it's like, I got these kids over here I still have to worry about and take care of. even in the midst of me still grieving what I've lost.
Yeah.
So I think it's just important to just be able to focus on that and move on.
Mm-hmm. Chastity, what about yourself? What did it take you to get to this point?
I started talking about it pretty immediately because, unfortunately, right after I had my DNC, I went back to work like 2 days later.
Wow.
And the job that I have, I'm very close to my clients. So I tell them everything, they tell me everything. So thankfully, like I had that opportunity to discuss what was going on with me. And that was my thing. So pretty immediate.
Okay. A couple of comments here. We got, I finally called Theodora by her government name again last night for the first time in a long time. But we all know her as the Blue Street Freak. She says, good evening, family. See, AJ, we connect with our listeners in a different kind of way, man. Keisha says, my son, I ain't gonna call her no Walker LaShawn on her. My son's girlfriend and my daughter lost their babies 2 weeks apart. Wow. Beginning December 16, 2021. Those were some of the hardest days of our lives. It seemed a lot of life left my children at those moments, and I felt helpless. And that's a term that I keep thinking about in my head, that if I were in AJ's situation, I would feel helpless. I just don't think I could feel any other way. She goes, because there was nothing I could do to comfort them. I was the first person each one of them called, and either one of them, I think she's maybe saying neither one of them want to try again. My mother passed about a month prior to the miscarriages, so my thoughts were like, AJ's, the babies are in heaven with my mom. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. And we got A-Trap in the building. He goes, good evening.
What up, A-Trap?
Hey, A-Trap.
So a couple of things. Okay, so we had talked. Let me ask you this. How did it impact your relationships at the time, your romantic relationship?
You read my mind. Yeah.
Did it put a strain on those? And I'm going to start with Chastity on this. Did it put a strain on your relationship with Jesus? That's Frank, by the way.
I was going to say with Jesus.
I thought you went to Jesus. So I was about to say, I wasn't talking about Jesus.
That's not what I was thinking. That's funny. But our relationship, I don't think for him it was strained because I wanted to try again quickly because, like I said, I felt like something was wrong with me. So I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, wow.
So with that, I mean, to have a baby, you have to have sex.
You're kidding.
Yeah, right. I mean, for him, it was fine. And like for me, like I said in the beginning, I had a hard time with him because I felt like he didn't really care or like feel anything.
Okay.
But after we had a discussion, like, and I could find out where his heart really was, that changed everything for me.
That's got to be key. That to me is a testament and a lesson for relationships, period. Not just trying to recover from miscarriage, right? It's just day to day. You better be with somebody you can talk with.
I'm telling you.
Because guess what? Sometimes you're going to be feeling some kind of way about them or what they're thinking. And guess what? All of our minds make that leap and we think we know what they're thinking. And if you're having good communication, you may be surprised sometimes at what's really in their head. And a lot of times it'll probably bring you closer to them than you were before you were thinking whatever you were thinking. So communication is key. So just think about how many people we know that probably don't have that kind of relationship that can talk about that kind of stuff. They more likely to come talk to you about it and be thinking, I know she feel this way. I know she feel that way. And she probably on this or he probably on that. And they ain't never had a conversation with him about it, and I can imagine it's probably a hard conversation to have, which is why before you even go down that road of being in a relationship, having sex, getting married, you probably need to practice having some hard conversations.
Yeah.
If you can't have a hard conversation with this individual, that is not the individual you want to have, you want to be in a relationship with. It's not going to work out for you, because guess what? It's going to be plenty of hard conversations to have. Life is going to present those to you. I guarantee.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. That's good.
AJ, no, go ahead, Mika.
I'm glad you said that, Tech, because I know a lot of people who will have babies with men but won't marry them. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't the math ain't mathing. Yeah. Like as women, you want to be able to call on somebody and have somebody in your corner when you're going through that part. But I've heard women say, girl, I just wanted to have a baby. But now he's not there. So having those hard and critical, I call them critical conversations. Mm-hmm. Having those critical conversations impact, how things go. Like Tech said, it's not even just about miscarriages. It's about day-to-day life. How are we going to pay these bills? What's your finances look like? Your credit score all right? You got a job? What you looking like 5 years from now? What are your goals? So I'm glad you said that. The conversation is super important. So yeah.
Yeah, you got felonies or misdemeanors. I need that.
I didn't say that.
And that's crazy that you even, and just to piggyback on the conversation of communication, me and Brandon had a critical conversation, as Mika said the other day. And one of the things he mentioned to me, he was like, Alicia, you mask things so well. Like you will just pick up like it's nothing going on. And I'm like, because I have to, you know what I'm saying? You have little people looking at you.
Yeah.
And you have to keep it going. Like I can't feel that right now. I have to just go. Yeah. And so he was like, it's hard to read sometimes because you want me to read, but you're masking it so well. Right. Like you're cooking dinner, you doing laundry, you working every day, you taking care of the household while I'm at work, and y'all come home and you look fine, but behind that, it's a lot of feelings. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? A lot
and
of
I'm sure after you had your DNC, your miscarriage and all this stuff, we back up and cooking in a week because the house can't get behind, the laundry has to get done, the cooking, who gonna cook, who's gonna clean. So I think as women, especially as Black women, we mask all that real quick.
Right. Because we're the strong ones.
We're strong. We got to bounce back real quick.
This is what I told a very, very good friend of mine just yesterday at lunch. They said the same thing. I can't, they going through a tough time, and they were like, I can't show, the kids this. Like, I can't let them see me. And I said, but you got to understand, they got to see you go through it. Yeah. They need to see you break for a minute. Yeah. I said, you're doing them a disservice when you don't.
Yeah.
Let them see you break. Let them see you.
I've seen a lot of strong women ahead of me, and I haven't seen a lot of their struggles. I may have heard, but I've never seen it. And so, like, when the first time that I ever went through anything, I'm like, dang, like, am I like that weak of a woman that I can't handle
that part?
That's it. Yeah. That's why they gotta see it. Your kids, not just your daughters. Your sons need to see your mama's break sometime too. So therefore, when they're in Brandon's situation, they can know sometimes it look all right, but it's not. It's like you gotta say that. You even gotta get to you gotta reduce it to its simplest terms to even say that statement to them. Is that, hey, I know I look all right sometimes, but that's for y'all, but it ain't always all right. But they gotta know it's okay to break, because if not, when they have that first break, they gonna think it's them.
They're gonna think it's something wrong.
And then in addition to that, when they get to see you break, what it'll do is it'll bring them closer to you, because they'll be like, I didn't know you cared like that. Right. Or let's just say somebody at school do something to them. Let's say Kay get into it and get bullied at school, and inside you want to be shedding tears. Let us see you shed tears. Mama, what's wrong? I don't like that they doing you like that. She already love her mama, but she gonna love the hell out of her mama if she know, that do you like that? Oh, you do dig me. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes they need to see you crumble. Yeah. And then they need to see you rebuild, because they know, okay, that's just part of life, crumbling and rebuilding. I
can't imagine. Well,
I'm gonna tell you like this. This is what I told that individual. I said, I remember every time I saw my mama crying, and I know why she was crying. Every single time. And it moves me in a way to where I'm like, that affects me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, your kids gotta see you break down.
They've seen it.
Because they gotta know it's possible to recover from it. Because if not, matter of fact, I told somebody today, I said, one of the biggest disservice we did for our kids is we made this shit look too easy.
That part.
And they got out there and life smacked them in the face. And they shook. They like, what the?
Yeah.
You know, we don't tell them enough that, like, I don't heard my mama say enough. If it ain't one thing, it's another.
It's another.
You know, and whatnot. And so you don't understand that the first of the month keep on coming. And keep on coming. And keep on coming. You try to take a breath after you made your first rent payment thinking your ass done did something. See, the first gonna be back before you get into your bedroom. You know? So they gotta see that in order for them to be strong enough to deal with it.
Yeah.
So AJ, I think I talked to Chasity about how it affected her relationship. Lekia, did I talk to you about how it affected your relationship?
No. So I think it was just a progress. It was just a process. Excuse me. It was a process because, you know, for me, honestly, I wanted to dwell in it. When I lost Jacob, I didn't want to do nothing. You know what I mean? Like, and then I think because I wanted to stay in it, and he wanted to be like, let's go, let's get out the house, let's do something, let's go see family, let's, you know, it's a new day. And it's like I didn't want to hear the you know, okay, like let's move. Because I felt like if I got out of my grief, I was gonna forget my baby.
Wow, that's strong. That's strong.
So, and it's making me tear up now because it's like I was like, if I get better, it's gonna make it seem like I don't care.
It's gonna be,
and so I think that was the hardest process of it, you know, just on two different, you know, I wanted to be like, you know, but let me stay here, let me,
that's good,
you know, but he was like, you know, we got to get up, you know, we got to keep moving, we got to keep going strong. And I just didn't want to hear that, even though when I look back at it, he was just trying to get me out of that funk. He was just trying to motivate me, you know, but back then I didn't want to hear it. So it did cause friction. You know?
Wow. If you're just joining us, Queen3 and King, we're discussing life after miscarriage with our special guest host, Chasity Williams, formerly known as Chasity Franklin, Lekia Patterson, and André Jones. And now we're talking about the strain of those current relationships that they felt during those miscarriages. So AJ, how impact did it have on your relationship at the time?
Brother. So I'm not gonna say anything that I have not said to her. So don't y'all come for me.
Okay.
We would go to therapy and counseling for other stuff, not even this. And our therapist said, okay, so you're more like the lady. You want to talk and you want to get and she just wants to give you the bare minimum. Like, it was a good day. I'm home. Leave me alone. So when this last one happened, the longest one, where we were over 5 months, she didn't want to be bothered. Like, she just wanted to be left alone. And similar to what Lekia said, she didn't want to hear about God. She didn't want to hear no hype talk. She didn't want to be okay. She didn't want to hear that. And I got in my feelings because it was like, well, damn, I mean, you know, I'm just trying to help. And that was the wrong approach to take because it wasn't about me. And hearing, you know, these ladies talk, there were things that I couldn't comprehend. You know, while we were pregnant, this was in her body, and feeling like she had failed some kind of way and she had done something wrong. So I kind of tried to push it, and then I got, you know, a little sensitive because, you know, I'm the sensitive one. I was the sensitive one in the relationship, and I shut down. It affected our relationship. It's so extreme, and I'll just go ahead and confess this. To the point where we were only intimate on her birthday and my birthday.
God.
Wow.
And our birthdays wasn't in the same week. In the same month.
And see,
I mean, we had 2 kids after that, but it was not easy.
Yeah.
I mean, we became friends. After we divorced.
So what's your birthday month, AJ?
December.
So that means your birthday is birthday. One of them I know is September.
Her birthday was in June, bro. June to December.
So wow, and you know what?
It affected us extreme.
That's the thing that you would anticipate. You know, you know, is that
especially if both parties aren't talking,
cause a strain, and that is because I'm gonna tell you like this: I would anticipate most men not know how to handle the situation. We're just we goofballs. We just Neanderthals when it comes down to it. We don't know that kind of stuff. We fumbling our way through it, you know, which is why therapy probably is a good idea when you're coming out of that situation, even if you think you got it. Even if you think, no, we're doing good, because there may be some things that you just don't understand that may creep up later, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to, and I'm going to come back just a moment, and I'm going to talk about the rainbow babies and how you felt when they were there, right? And I also want to talk about any future relationships that if you didn't, stay with that individual, how are new relationships because of former miscarriages and things of that nature. But again, we're going to pause for station identification. This is our featured Black-owned business of the week. And in fact, I am not going to play that right now. So I'm just going to pause for a commercial with one of our guys. This is Cole Johnson, who always put together some fantastic commercials for us. So I'm going to go ahead and just play one of his commercials.
This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to show that attainability. I want to show the accessibility of this kind of lifestyle.
From social media to having conversations with friends and family, you always have to put on face and say face.
What brings a smile to my face is the one person that totally believes in me, and that's my beautiful wife, Jody.
I just had to stop because I didn't value myself. I didn't love myself. And it's like, I have to learn to love myself.
Changing the world one conversation at a time. This is Revelations.
Okay, so let's talk about, so one of the things that my little mind thought in terms of this, my thought process in studying for this, one of the thoughts that came to me is, I wonder if once they've had a rainbow baby, if they were in fear early on, that very first baby you had after miscarriage, were you like even overly protective than even first parents are, thinking, okay, even though that baby's been born, I still don't feel like I'm out of the woods yet? Can any of y'all talk on that? How did y'all feel when your rainbow babies come? Was there still a fear there?
Oh, I was terrified. I was terrified. And the blessing was I had the same doctor throughout all of my pregnancies. So she kind of understood. But yeah, I mean, and I think it just carried through the whole entire pregnancy, and all my pregnancies were high risk. So just constantly going to the doctors. I had more doctor's appointments than, just a regular pregnancy. So just going through every day, if you felt something, you'd freak out. I was blowing up my doctor's, phone, so just having to go through just being patient with yourself and just praying honestly, like the whole time, like, God, if it's in your will, it will be done, So just taking it day by day, because it's
what about after the birth? Did that fear continue that, even though he's born, will there be an issue?
Even as a baby, because I think it's just a typical, it's a continuous reminder. Even after Jeremiah, I was like, he's here, he got here safe. And then I was like, but is he okay? You know what I mean? So I think it's always in the back of your head, and I mean, he's taller than me now, and I'm still like, because I remember, so I think it does affect you for sure.
Okay, AJ,
he's okay, Kia, and he's bigger than all of us. Okay,
that's my jam right there. I love him.
We'll start a GoFundMe. The shoes are ridiculous.
Oh my God.
AJ, what about yourself? After when your rainbow babies come, when that baby was born, did you still have some reservation?
So my older children will tell you that I love Hannah, my 9-year-old, the most, because she was our first rainbow baby. And that is my baby. I don't care what the other ones do. Y'all feel like, me, I'm dropping it all, dog. I'm dropping it all. So not so much after she was born, but man, when I tell you I was a helicopter father, husband, you name it, when we gotten pregnant again, and we were getting to the point that she was actually gonna be born. And similar to Lekia, we were very close with our doctor, and she was as committed to making sure that she did everything that she could for us to have that baby. But yeah, I was until I held her in my own arms, I wasn't sure everything was gonna be all right.
Right.
I'm very close to her now, man. I mean, she is spoiled, and I'm guilty because she was that one.
Yeah. Chastity, what about Sailor? Did you, after she was born, were you still worried that is everything okay?
Yes, especially at night. I was always afraid like something was gonna happen to her. So like I didn't really sleep a lot in the beginning, and she slept in our room probably longer than she should have. Why she's still in our bed now. But I just remember just looking at her and just staring at her. And like every little if I would fall asleep, I'd wake up and be like, dang, did it happen? Like is she okay?
Wow, man.
Like all that. And
put your finger under their nose to make sure you feel them breathe.
Yeah. And I still feel like even now she's 3, I feel like sometimes I can be a little bit overprotective, but that's just because I don't know. She came at a like super special time in my life, so I got to just protect.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Point out how they talked about their doctors, and doctors to me are super important. Alicia, myself, Chasity, and the oldest queen all share the same OBGYN. Doctors are super important, and she's a Black female, so she understands our body a little more. And we can go in there. I've cried in her office about 17 times. Like, girl, I don't know what's going on. But I think doctors are super important. And that, when we've gone through something like that, like trauma and miscarriages and all that good stuff, I think it's super important that we know our doctors and know that our doctors are in the corners. It's so important.
But your OBGYN said when she see the oldest queen, she had to turn her office lights on real bright. So AJ, you better not laugh.
I'm not, Chastity. I did not laugh at your mother. I promise you, I did not. Stop, man.
But I think one of the most special times of just talking about the doctor is after I went through what they labeled as a chemical pregnancy, because when it's super early, they kind of just put that label on it, but it's indeed a miscarriage. She sat in the room with me and just let me feel. Like in that moment, she was just like, feel it. And she was just like, feel it. You have to feel it. Yeah. Don't walk out of here without feeling it.
Nothing like a doctor who's got no bedside manner, man. They irritate me to my core, man. And I'll tell them about this. If I deal with a doctor that ain't got no bedside manner, I'll say it to them and say, you must have skipped. You must have been called in sick today. They taught bedside manner in medical school because you don't have it.
Wow.
And generally that get their attention and they be like, oh no, I was just, whatever, trying to make some kind of excuse. But I don't play that, man.
Yeah. No, she she'll sit there with you. You be like, I'm not feeling this, and you may start crying. She'll be like, let's just sit. Yeah. Let's talk.
She can have 30 people in that waiting room. They're gonna wait.
She doesn't care.
They're gonna wait. And if I'm not mistaken, this is a Black female, right?
Yes.
Right. And her dad was also an OBGYN.
Her daddy.
To me, that is the coolest story in the world, man. I think that's dope right there.
I love him.
He actually just retired, so she's the only Parnell that's gonna be there. So I think that's super
I probably done got a lot of business because every chick I done dated in the last 10 years, I tell about, hey, you need to go to this Black OBGYN. I need to get some referral money.
She's young. She's innovative. When it came to COVID, she told us what to do. She talked to me 30 minutes at one day because I was like, what are we going to do about COVID? I was crying, acting a fool. She's like, oh, girl, you're all right.
Shout out to Dr. Wendy Parnell.
Dr. Wendy Parnell.
Mika still ain't left the house after COVID. All right, so a couple of comments. So this is Grace, I think. She goes, no strain with Jesus, but because I felt like my ex was not supportive, it created more of a wedge strain. And my daughter-in-law, Brandy, says, it's so important to be able to have a hard conversation with your mate and not just be able to have the conversation, but be able to feel the emotion your mate has. That's a key right there, to say that. See, too often times we're so busy trying to get our point across and make sure you understand us that we not getting an understanding. And the word said, in all your getting,
Get an understanding.
While you're trying to get your point across and get your battle victory and you need to get an understanding, because that understanding.
My Bible say.
She goes, connection is so important. And then Grace says, y'all need to read our bloody mind shit, and let's see. She goes, my OBGYN is amazing, Black Doc. So okay. So now this has got to be key. Do y'all feel differently, because y'all have gone through miscarriage and stuff like that, with all these new abortion laws and this political football that they're using with this? Do y'all have any thoughts on that y'all want to share that y'all been dealing with?
Absolutely. It should not be anybody's choice but a woman, simply because a lot of these situations, we're talking about victims of rape, sexual assault, sometimes when it's medically necessary to have an abortion. You're determining when we can and cannot do that. So you're not only putting us, the baby, at risk, but us at risk, right? So it's just, I like, these new laws kill me. Like, I don't understand it whatsoever.
The whole abortion is healthcare is 100% true, because it doesn't just go for like people who have been raped or whatever. But I had to have my DNC on the paper. It says
abortion,
elective abortion.
Yes.
For spontaneous.
They called it elective.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like,
and that was a fight a lot of women had. They talked about it.
Yeah, if it was illegal, then what? I would just have to like sit in my misery for or in my danger.
I called it a political football because they are using this. Again, this may sound silly. It's not about the abortion. There's something else, and I forget it. I didn't write this down in this question. There's something else in these laws that they've written. When they write a bill and stuff like that, they'll try to tuck some other shit in there, and it'll be about that or whatnot. So it's not just about the abortion. That's why we got to pay very close attention to what these things are saying, and they'll get us all wrapped up into something, and there's something else that they're trying to sneak. They're trying to run a double reverse on us.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting, an interesting, kind of play on this, abortion for people who have miscarriages, that their thoughts on it, So again, I said rainbow baby. That was my first time hearing that term whenever I was researching this. So I just want to share a couple of other terms with the audience. A double rainbow baby is a baby that's born to parents who have experienced 2 previous miscarriages, right? 2 previous losses. A golden baby. So apparently we have a golden baby in the family, which is Noah, right?
Yep.
That's a golden baby, or a pot of gold baby is a baby born after a rainbow baby. So that means you've had 1 or you had 2. And AJ, you have a golden baby too.
I do.
And Lekia, you have
a golden baby.
And,
she does.
Yeah.
Brooklyn.
Okay. Yeah, Brooklyn need to be on somebody ad somewhere.
I'm trying.
Huh?
Yeah. I said I'm trying.
That's who's gonna give it to Lekia. That right there.
She don't need to see Lekia. Sign right now. I'll do it for 9%, not the 10 to 15% that other agents. I'll do it.
This how you know you saving and love the Lord. I'll do it for 7%.
Let's see. A sunshine baby. Okay, so this was a new one for me, right? The sunshine baby are kids born before a loss, right? So I guess Grace has been talking. She said she had 3 healthy kids before her miscarriage, so she technically had sunshine babies, babies who came before. A sunset baby, they said, occurs when a twin who dies in the womb. The sunrise baby is a surviving twin.
Oh, wow.
That's gotta be. Don't that gotta be a difficult thing, huh?
I never knew about all these different terms.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, like, what committee was in charge of sitting there?
I just know about the rainbow baby.
They done covered every possible scenario.
Yes,
everyone.
They say that occurs when a twin who dies in the womb. The sunrise baby is a surviving twin of the baby who dies in the womb. So I think that's about being a father of twins. I can only imagine, if you only had one, man, that'd be tough,
I think we're super blessed on this panel to have all gold babies, right?
Golden babies, yep.
Golden babies. So yeah. Super sweet.
Very blessed.
All right, so now I want to play a quick commercial of a super, super special person. This is Alex. She has her own company. It's called Declutter Co. So she started her company, which basically goes in and they'll, you got that messy, junky closet. She'll come arrange it for you and buy all the little stuff at Crate and Barrel or whatever you got to do, right, to be able to organize it, or your kitchen pantry or that junk drawer or whatever the case may be. And this is an individual who was working a 40-hour job just like everybody else and working hard at it. But she was very good at her job, very super energetic. And she's like, but I got this passion. And so she finally decided to go take this passion. And here's Alex.
Did you know that having an organized space positively impacts your mental health? Well, it's true. Research shows that our spaces have a direct reflection of how we feel internally. And when we have a lot going on in our lives, it's easy to just let clutter pile up and just forget about organization. That's where I come in. I'm Alex. I'm the owner of Declutter Co. and your favorite cousin on your mama's side. I'm on a mission to invite more peace into your life through decluttering, organizing, and interior decorating. The first thing people tell me when we start our journey is how ashamed they are. How ashamed they are about just letting things just get out of control and pile up. But hey, things happen. This is a no judgment zone. Listen, we've all been there, but we don't have to stay there. Ain't no shame in asking for help. And trust me, I come from a long line of folks that don't like asking for help at all. So I get it, but let's be better. Let me come in and partner with you to get to just your personal journey with organization. Teamwork makes the dream work. Head over to my website, decluttercotx.com, and schedule a consultation with me today. Bye, y'all.
All right. Did she take layaway plans?
Bye, y'all.
Come to Houston.
I'm sure she would. If the money right, and if the money right, I'll drive her here. And I know that 40-year radio money got to be looking good over there. Look at
that background.
Yeah, he got a baby grand piano back
there.
Look how God
done blessed.
Oh, listen, do not play. This is let me tell y'all something real quick.
That is a green screen, huh?
There you go.
We know the difference. We know the difference.
All right. So now we've this hour, of course, it always passes by fast. So it is time for our final thoughts. And we're going to start with Lekia. We'll go to AJ, Chasity, Lily, and Mika, and then I'll finish us off. So Lekia, give us your final thoughts.
Well, first, I want to just say thank you. When Lily originally asked me, I kind of looked at the phone for a couple of minutes, because it's a hard conversation to have, but it's necessary. So I'm just appreciative that you guys are just bringing light to this situation and giving us an opportunity to speak on it, and then learn from other people's perspectives. So I'm just appreciative, and I thank you.
Oh, yeah. Well, you may not know this, but Queen3 King for the second consecutive year did win most versatile podcast. So even though we act a fool on here, we do cover some pretty serious topics, So, look us up. Anyway.
I voted. So I know you won.
It's a reason why I had Lily reach out, because I was scared. And I'm like, hey, can you call these folks? And I don't want to.
Right, man, he sure put it on me.
Yeah. All right. AJ, final thoughts, sir.
Yeah, I'm like Lekia. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. And what it did was it created an opportunity for me to have a discussion with my ex-wife that, I don't know if we would have had it not been.
I love that.
Show. And really, man, I always say we best friends, we good, we even better now. My My rainbow baby had a birthday yesterday. She's 9 years old. So
that's Hannah, right?
This weekend, my golden baby, she just do what she want to do. And we just accept that. So, man, I'm just glad to have this opportunity and really praying for folks who have either gone through this or are going through this.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, they need to.
That's what's up. All right. Chasity, formerly known as Franklin Williams.
Yeah, thank y'all too for allowing me to come on and talk. Anybody that's going through a miscarriage or who's gone through one, just remember that it doesn't matter how far along you are. Because I was kind of like Alicia. I was like, I was only 10 weeks. Like, it's not that bad. People have had worse. People have had multiple miscarriages. But just remember, like, your loss is your loss. It's still significant. Don't think that just because your loss is not as significant as somebody else's, that your loss is small. Right. Just remember to, like, sit in your grief, allow you to feel those feelings and forward. But don't just sit in it for too long. But
yeah, that's something big. Now I've heard a couple of people say that today, that they needed to feel it, right? And I've heard people say that a lot this year thus far, whenever talking about pain and grief and whatever, is that you got to feel it. So oftentimes, and especially men, we want to keep moving. And I think it's because we don't want to feel it. So we know if you keep moving, you can't stick to me, Right. So feeling it though is a big part of closure. So I think that's a big takeaway from this particular episode, is to feel your pain, feel your grief. And like Chasity said, don't sit in it too long, but you got to feel it to move on. Lily, final thoughts.
Again, thank you to our guests. I appreciate you guys for coming on and being vulnerable, because this is a topic that's not easy to talk about. And I never take that for granted. That's why when I went in asking, I prepared myself to get a no. I ain't ready for that, right? Because it's a heavy topic. But like you guys have said, it's important to feel those emotions. It's important to have empathy to people that are going through miscarriages or have dealt with that in the past. One thing I do want, like something, and this is just a me moment, but when we talk about putting our children on birth control and going the birth control route, just make sure you research that, because birth control can have a lot of adverse reactions on our bodies. And we don't realize how years of being on a birth control can kind of hinder us when we go through the walk of wanting to get pregnant or trying to get pregnant. So it's just important that I know in the Black community, we always be like, well, I'm about to go put her on birth control because she ain't bringing a baby in my house. Right. And I get it. But just make sure you do your research and just make sure that's the best thing for you and your family.
Yeah, best alternative. Yeah, that you don't think about that, but if you think about it for just a second, it makes sense, doesn't it? You're going to be taking something, putting it in your body that's designed to stop you from having a baby, and then you want it to go away so you can't
you're ready.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just, if you really think about it, if it worked the way it's supposed to work, it might cause a problem. So that makes sense. Mika, final thoughts.
Thanks to our guests. Y'all were phenomenal. Thanks for opening up. Chasity was my first baby, I think. She was, I think she was. I carried her like she was mine on my hip. And we're only 1 year apart.
Wow. Lie again.
It's my story. This is how I'm telling it.
AJ bought it for a few seconds.
I sure did.
I'm talking about he bought it for like 3.5 seconds.
No, we're 6 years.
He was like, damn.
We're 6 years apart. I think we're 6 years apart.
Yeah.
Yes, we're 6 years apart. So just having that perspective from all of y'all, especially AJ, thank you for sharing that male perspective, because that is something, and it's selfish almost on our part to not think about it. But when you're so consumed with something, a trauma, you don't think about anything or anybody outside of that. So thank you for sharing that perspective. And like Alicia said, after, just having a me moment, y'all, I've waited to after 35 to try to have a baby, and miscarriage is something that I totally worry about. And so just hearing y'all say that and hearing y'all be honest about that and how y'all went through it, I appreciate y'all for saying that. And the Lord I'm gonna just be spiritual for a second. Lord just told me I can have what I want to have. It don't matter the age, time, or the date. So I appreciate y'all for sharing that. And I'm out.
Yeah, and again, so now I'm going to tell you why the OBGYN, when the seasoned queen goes in there, she got to turn the lights on real bright because Chastity and Mika are only 6 years apart. So that ought to give you some age clarification on that situation. Fortunately, she's on the open seas somewhere and she can't defend us.
But she gonna good.
So before I give my final thoughts, I want to talk about next week's show. And I gave AJ a preview of this before y'all got on and backstage. We're going to have Storm Season is the topic with special guest host Pastor D.P. Dawkins of Macedonian Missionary Baptist Church.
Oh, it's going to be a good one.
Man.
I'll probably shout.
This one finna be something.
I held my tears on this one. I had a couple lumps, but
yeah,
can't keep taking me through too many of these.
You do not want to miss Storm Season next Tuesday at 7 p.m. AJ almost kicked this chair off of Monday and jumped up when I was breaking it down how we got from point A to point B.
He feed me that, brother.
Yeah. So that's gonna be good. For me, my final thoughts are simply this: we're not the experts. We here at Queen3 King simply want to bring awareness and recognition. Our special guests, Chasity, AJ, Lekia, due to their experience, they are the experts. And hopefully we've been able to bless somebody today to either help you get over it. You may be in the midst of it. You may know somebody who is. Like, share, subscribe, send this to them, because I promise you there's something in it that can help somebody. So again, we appreciate you for joining us on another episode of Queen3 King, and we'll see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, for another episode of Queen3 King Storm Season.
Bye, y'all.
Y'all say bye.
Are we smiling or what we doing?
The Queen Bee has arrived.
What's your out then? So I'm gonna start with both of y'all's hands right here.